It's a wonderful pleasure now to introduce the next speaker, the new Commissioner for Older People in Wales. As you know, Wales is fairly unique, or at least was fairly unique, in having such a commissioner. And you will recall that we had very good relationships with the previous one, and I suspect the one before that. But Sarah Gar, the previous commissioner, was very familiar to this particular audience, very good connections, relationships, and so on. So now we are turning a new leaf, a new chapter in the history of the Older Persons Commissioner. So it's a real pleasure to introduce Heléna Herklots. This is one of her first significant engagements. So I'm very pleased that she is here today. So, croeso cynnes iawn I Heléna Herklots.
Diolch Peter, Bore da. Good morning everybody. I'm delighted to speak at your AGM this morning. I hear that Carmarthenshire 50 Plus is the biggest forum for 50 plus in all of Wales. So this is just my 4th week in post, so I'm really pleased to be with you today. And it's a great honour to take up the role of Older People's Commissioner for Wales. It's an independent role. My job is to be the champion for older people, to promote the rights and interests of the 800,000 older people in Wales. So it's a fairly meaty job. And as Peter said, it's 10 years now since the role was established, and I'd also like to pay a huge tribute to the work of my predecessors, Sarah Gar and Ruth Marks, for all that they have done over that 10 years to promote older people's rights and to work hard to make older people have a good life here in Wales. Now, 10 years ago, Wales led the world in bringing in legislation to establish the Older People's Commissioner. And I'd like to see Wales leading the world again by making Wales the best place to grow older. And in my first few weeks, I've been travelling throughout Wales and starting to have the conversation with people. What would make Wales the best place to grow older for you? And I've heard things about improving the bus services, getting better access to GPs, more care and support when you need it. I've had some surprising answers as well. So I was up in Colwyn Bay and I was chatting to a woman who told me she was 93, and I said, what would make life better for you? And she pointed at my colleague Josh, who's about in his mid-20s, and she said, having a toy boy. Now, the commissioner role comes with a number of statutory powers, but that is actually beyond my powers to do. But it certainly made her day, and Josh is still dealing with it, I think. So I want to say a little bit about what my immediate focus is going to be over the next few weeks, and then a little bit about my 4-year term as Commissioner. So as I said, I'm out and about meeting and chatting with older people throughout Wales to listen to your views and concerns and to draw on your experience and expertise so that together we can make Wales the best place to grow older. Now, have you heard that saying, information is power? Yeah? It's something I believe in very strongly. And quite often, as we know, it's difficult to get the information, to know what you're entitled to, where to get help, if you're looking for help for a loved one. So in my first few weeks, I'm going to do 3 things to make that a bit easier. On the 1st of October, it's the International Day of Older Persons, and I'll be publishing a guide on that day all about older people's rights, your legal rights, because I think it's so important to put that information in the hands of older people. So on International Day of Older Persons, 1st of October, look out for that guide. Me and the team are going to be out and about across Wales promoting the guide so that you know what your legal rights are, or people that you're trying to help know what their legal rights are. Secondly, in the next few weeks, also producing some resources about advocacy services. So when you're struggling, or the person that you're caring for or love is struggling and you need an advocate, someone to be on your side, this resource will help to let you know more about those advocacy services. And thirdly, because I know that respite care is so important for so many who need care or are caring for others, we'll be producing an information guide on getting respite services. So in the next few weeks, do look out for those 3 things that I'll be publishing. Now, we've heard and we know we are an ageing society, and the fact that we are living longer is surely something to celebrate. Yet too often, we hear about the burden of an ageing population, the problems apparently caused by ageing. Yet ageing is, if we are lucky, something that happens to us all. So I'm going to challenge this negative stereotype, this age discrimination, because we should see the fact that we are living longer as positive. Of course, we should acknowledge the challenges that it can bring, and we certainly know about those personally. And we need to make sure that we have the services and support in place to help us age well. And I've been asked to say something about loneliness today. And one of the challenges of growing older is that it can bring loneliness with it. It can sometimes feel as if your world begins to shrink, and it can affect how you feel physically and mentally. And it can, as we've heard, be a blight on our later years. We're going to hear a little bit later, I think, from the campaign to end loneliness. And in 2010, they produced a report, which was a great report, but the thing I loved best about it was its title. And it was called Safeguarding the Convoy. And its idea was that throughout life, we have a convoy around us. Our family, our friends, the people we love and care about, our mates at work. And it's that convoy of people that keeps us going, that keeps us connected, that keeps us knowing we're valued and someone cares about us. And as we grow older, sometimes that convoy can shrink. We may lose friends, we may lose partners and loved ones. And so what the campaign was saying was we need to think of ways of safeguarding that convoy, making sure we're still in touch with people. But importantly, groups like the Carmarthen 50 plus groups like Walking Well and others, they are people that can help us build back that convoy so we don't feel we're sailing in a choppy sea all on our own. We have people around us. And I've heard in my first few weeks about the importance of day centres and clubs and pop-in centres. The woman I met on my very first day, on the Monday, my first day in the job, at a day centre, and I was chatting to her. And it was her first day too. It was the first day she'd gone to the day centre. And she said she hadn't been out of the house since the Thursday before. And I said, how did it feel coming to the day centre? And she said, it was really scary. It took a lot of courage to come out over the threshold. But because of the companionship she found there, she was feeling more confident that day. And I asked her the key question, are you going to come back next week? And she said, yes, I'm going to come back next week. And I met the man last week who'd suffered a stroke and was at a stroke club. And he explained that one of the reasons he liked coming to that club, and he used this word, he said, I feel safe here. And there are many other examples of ways in which we can help people combat loneliness. Singing groups, ageing well, men's sheds. We need all of these to help us safeguard our own convoys. But we also need to know that I think part of the reason that loneliness may be such an issue is some of those lifeline community services we've relied on, we're losing. Our transport services, our post offices, the local pubs, places we could just go and hang out. So the Welsh Government is working on a new loneliness strategy, and I'm sure we'll hear about that later from the Minister, but we need to make sure it pays attention to those things in our communities as well. So as I said, I'm going to be working to make Wales the best place to grow older, and I'm really looking forward to continuing to work with the Carmarthenshire 50 Plus Fforwm and all the 50 Plus Fforwms throughout Wales. I want to work directly with you, with public bodies and voluntary groups and others, and to hear from older people particularly those who are having the toughest time, who aren't feeling heard. One woman said to me, when you're over 80, it's as if you don't exist. Well, we need to change that. And I'm confident that we can change that. I'm often inspired by a quote from an anthropologist called Margaret Mead. And she said this: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." Well, we've got a big group of committed citizens in this forum and elsewhere. So I'm sure together, and I'm confident that we can change the world and make Wales the best place to grow older. So I just want to conclude by saying that over the next couple of months, I'm going to be putting together my work programme for the next 4 years. And as the Independent Commissioner for the 800,000 older people, you will expect me to prioritise, not spread myself too thinly or try to be all things to all people. So I will be doing that over the next few months, be talking to people and listening and thinking through what are the priorities to work on. And this is an open invitation to contact me and let me know your thoughts. So my pledge to the older people I'm here to serve are these 4 things. As your Commissioner, I will challenge age discrimination, and I will challenge the idea that the ageing population is a burden. As the Older People's Commissioner, I will listen when you feel your voice is going unheard. I will be in your corner. I will get your voice heard. As your Commissioner, I will celebrate growing older and promote all the positive things for older people happening in Wales, including the work of this forum. And as your Commissioner, I will hold those in power to account. And finally, as the Older People's Commissioner, I will do all I can to make Wales the best place to grow older. And I look forward to working with all of you to make that happen. Diolch, thank you.